Alright guys, welcome back to my shop. So today I want to go over my Packout gear that I have here. I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different Packout accessories, including the backpack and just 2 totes. Now I actually bought the 3 tub set that has the rolling base, the medium box, and then the small box that goes on top. Now I paid $279, which is retail price at the time when I bought it. Obviously you can find it cheaper during holiday season, which obviously I did not. Now what I'd like to tell you about this particular system, for me the Packout system has been, it's held up. None of the things have broken, but I also don't believe I use this the way that, like, say, a construction worker or some, I don't think I put it under heavy load or heavy stress. Currently, I don't even have a lot in my Packout. Like, this is the bottom box, and though the stuff in it is, the things that are in there are heavy, it's got a lot of free space. There's a lot more that can actually go in this bottom container. Just a few of the things that I have in here: I've got a pry bar, I've got some bolt cutters, this is just a magnetic socket holder, pair of pliers stuck to it. I honestly cannot remember what this tool is for. I purchased it. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but since I threw away the packaging, it's one of those specialized tools, and I am not 100% sure what it does, so I would have to go back to the store and find it on the shelf and, work my way back to figure out what this was. It's probably a good idea when I purchased it, but yeah, I can't recall. Here I have one of my, this is a Harbor Freight branded torque wrench, the 1/4 inch. I have a couple of heavy duty box wrenches, a 30, and this one is a 32. I also have a 27 in here. File, pair of channel locks, Harbor Freight Pittsburgh ratchet. Got a couple pry bars in here, about 3 of them looks like. One's a plastic one for maybe pulling apart, more delicate parts. I don't know why I have 3/8 inch staples in here. That needs to go with my fasteners. And this dollar store brush that I was using for glue ups, that's in there. Impact rated socket extension. So this is the 1/2 inch. Here's the 1/4 inch, and then I've got a 1/2 inch extension. Big Phillips screwdriver. Got a 1 1/16 box wrench. Old school 3/8. Is that 3/8 or is that a 1/2 inch? Anviled, kind of a hand crank ratchet. Got my 1/2 inch socket here, or 1/2 inch ratchet, sorry. A couple crescent wrenches, pair of box pliers, channel locks, 1/4 inch ratchet, a dual sided ratchet with the 3/8 and the 1/4-inch stubby style. They're wire cutters. No, wire cutters, and then I have wire strippers. It's a regular Phillips screwdriver, which that shouldn't be there. And that's pretty much it. There's just a couple more extensions for the ratchet. So let's put that stuff back in there. That is all I have in the bottom of this pack out. Now, with that being said, saying that, I don't think that this was, at least this portion, was worth a portion of the $279 to just store these few items. Now, it does store them. It does store them, and it doesn't. And things don't look untidy just laying around the floor. So I give it that. But I could have spent less money and had these things stored as well. I mean, for the way that I'm using it, I could have got a plastic container from Walmart and just set it somewhere. I mean, it'd have to go on the floor with tools this heavy, and just push it over to the side, and it serves the same purpose, because this is more built for me taking my tools out somewhere. Like if I had jobs that were outside of my home, it makes sense to put it in something heavy duty like this and carry it out. I don't necessarily think that it's the best solution if you plan to use these tools on a regular basis in your home. I have personally found it cumbersome when I'm going to do an oil change or some kind of car repair. I have to lay out all of these pack outs all over the place, which takes away my foot space so that I can access each level of the system. Now, I have this portion. This is just the small box. If we take a look in here, it just has box wrenches, the Serpentine Belt tool, has a crescent wrench, steering wheel cover, and that's all. It's not full to the brim, obviously. It's just there's quite a bit of free space in there. Now, it is heavy with all of these wrenches in here, and as I said before, aesthetically it looks better than these tools just laying all over the floor. Functionally, I wouldn't necessarily give it the highest score. As I said, this seems to just be more so for transporting tools from one location to another, as opposed to actually leaving tools in there that say you're going to use on a regular basis. That's where, you look at things like, say, like a French cleat wall, or like for mechanic tools like this, having one of those big steel chests that have the drawers where you can pull it open, pull out your sockets, pull out your ratchets and your box wrenches to do the job that you're trying to do. I don't think this is the best solution. And as I think about it, other than transporting tools from here to there and keeping them relatively safe, I don't really feel as though this is an awesome solution. When I actually took this with me once to Pick and Pull, which is a junkyard, to do, to pull some parts off of some cars. And these wheels, they're okay. I wouldn't call them outstanding, especially at the Pick and Pull that I went to. The whole area is gravel, and when this is weighted down, it's not as easy to roll around. Maybe if it had, air-filled tires, maybe a little bit more technology in the axle system that would give this a little bit more maneuverability when you're rolling on something like gravel. That would be good. Now, what I did like about it was a lot of times when you go to the junkyard, the cars are sitting up on like rims or something. They're up, hoisted up on off the ground, so the engine bay is a lot higher than it would normally be. And I was able to use this as a stepping stool to stand up to do some of the work that I wanted to do. That's a good thing, you know, obviously, to be able to stand on there, at least for someone of my weight. I'm only about 150 pounds or so. But also, if your tools are in there and you're standing on it and you're at a place like the junkyard, unless somebody's going to knock you off of there and take your tools are, you know, pretty well, you know, taken care of. Now, if you know, have to come off of the toolbox, then, you know, all bets are off. Now, these bags here, I pretty much feel the exact same way. They look nice. They're nice and rugged. I can throw tools in here, and, you know, it would keep them relatively safe as long as you didn't have anything that was going to knock into the tool while it was in here, because there's no dividers in these containers. So, you know, if things shift around, then you're going to get what you get. It's great. The bag's great for transporting tools from here to there. For storing tools, I wouldn't say it's quite as inconvenient as putting them in here and this being on the bottom or close to the bottom, but I don't really see a whole lot of elegance in this situation, other than, as I said, to, you know, have the Milwaukee Packout brand on it and to be carrying it from A to B, so somebody can say, oh, you got a Milwaukee Packout bag, but the bag is not really super functional, other than, you know, being like the bags that you get when you buy a tool with the cleat on the bottom. That's all this is. And I don't, every now and then I'll find myself putting a tool in here, but then, as I said, if you're not a person that's actively working on a job or something like that, you know, where you're taking your tool there for a specific reason, mind on that. You know, sometimes there's some tools that are in these packouts that I don't use for months. And so if I put a tool in here that you say that I use on a regular basis, I could put it in there and maybe I don't use it for a few days and I'll forget it's even in there. You know, because there's no labeling system. You know, you could put something on there, but it's kind of like just a, you know, hide your tool away. In my opinion, it'll be one of those things where you put your tools in there and you don't even remember you have them. It's just sitting somewhere on the shelf or down underneath something. You don't even know what's in it. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to pull your tool out of here every single time to do some work. So, in my opinion, so far, it just seems to me that these are transport vessels for tools or equipment like that. And obviously, I didn't stop at one, but I ended up getting two of these. Now, the backpack, as I said, transporting tools. If I was going over somebody's house to do some kind of repair, this is convenient. Going to a place like Pick and Pull, this is convenient. Obviously, for people in the trades that use these types of things, is convenient. But for me being at home, I mean, what am I going to do? Put this on and walk from one end of the garage to the other to carry tools? No. I mean, I personally purchased this to go to a place like Pick and Pull and to be able to work on, you know, cars. However, all of this branding, this flashy red, may not be the best idea to go to a place like Pick and Pull by yourself, because you may put something down for a second and never see it again. So this is a little bit more convenient, obviously, than these, in the sense that you can have it on your back the whole time. But imagine if you were working on a car and you were trying to remove a part, and that part, required the use of multiple tools, which means you would have to sit down, open this bag up, pull out all of those different tools, lay them all out, or you're going to be going in the bag grabbing one tool at a time. So it kind of kills that convenience of the fact that whether you travel from one end of the salvage yard to the other, that you have that your tools are on you. You don't have to worry about turning your back and someone stealing them. So, in theory, I thought it was a great idea. I tested it. I took this to pick and pull. I took this section to pick and pull, and it was more convenient than trying to carry the tools in your hand. But it was inconvenient if you go by yourself and you don't have someone dedicated to watch your tools, because this flashy type of stuff, people see it, and then next thing you know, they may want to relieve you of some of your assets, if you will. So as I said, it just seems to be transport devices to transfer tools from here to there. Now obviously this would be different if it was actually the drawer system like they have now, where you can actively store things in it. You can actively open it up and pull things out and use them and then put them back conveniently without breaking it down into all these different sub-components. That, to me, sometimes if I know something is in this setup, I'll just think about it and be like, you know what, is it worth it? Nah, I'm good. And I'll leave it. I'll leave whatever it is. I will move on to a different job as opposed to go through here. The main reason why I go in these tubs, other than today, for this particular video, is when I'm working on my cars. That's it. And that's because I have to. Because this is where I store these. For whatever reason, I opted not to buy one of those, heavy duty steel chests with the drawers to put all my mechanics tools in. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe it was a mistake. My mind, of course, we all make mistakes from time to time. And that's not me saying that this is a bad product. I don't think it's a bad product. I just think it's a product that's not for me, personally. It looks nice. It matches my Milwaukee tools. Sure, I could throw my Milwaukee tools in there. But then am I going to want to use them? Am I really going to want to go down in this bottom chest, take 3, 4, 5 other, packouts off the top to get to one tool? I don't think so, But as I said, if I had a friend and they lived across town and say, it's a buddy of mine and he's like, hey, my car's broke down, you mind coming over and helping me troubleshoot it, then it's super convenient, because then you throw your tools in here, they're all contained, you're in a protected and a safe environment because you're at your buddy's house, and you're able to go ahead and do the job that you came for. You can strew your tools all out over the ground and do your job. And in the end, you throw them all in there after you're tired after a day's work, drag it up in your truck or vehicle, go home, and then wheel it into the garage, and there it sits. That's the ideal situation for this setup. It is not for someone that is working in a shop at home, in my opinion, where you're going to be going in and out of it. It's just not. So let's take a look at this one here. Okay, so these are one of the little inserts or whatever the case that go inside of the chest. And this is just a collection of sockets, both impact and standard. It just sits in there like that. For now, I mean, that's not super useful either. I mean, I throw them in there for now, but when I want a particular socket, look at that. That's a hot mess. That's just, that's a hot mess. This is, sometimes when you create just a big opening to store stuff, all it does is just suck in garbage and junk, or a mixture of things that don't go together, which makes it twice as hard to deal with whatever it is that you're dealing with, simply because it's disorganized. Let's grab the middle box. Oh, looks like I found another tool that I didn't put back. This actually came with the Serpentine Belt Kit that I purchased. Let me go ahead and put it in here. Alright. So this particular Packout, it contains an old half together socket set, air chisel, or I think this may be like a ball joint remover type tool. Mind you, when I bought it, because I actually changed out the upper and lower control arms on my 2003 Dodge Ram 1500, and I spent all this time trying to pull the ball joint out, only to realize that that particular model, or at least I don't know if those were aftermarkets or factory, but it was one of the control arms that the ball joint is not removable. So you could imagine that was the first time I ever changed the upper and lower control arm. I was pretty hot. Because I spent a long time working on it, only to find out that you go buy and it's all one piece. So you end up buying stuff like this that ends up just being something that you have, but you didn't need it, and now who knows how long this gonna sit before I either ever use it again. I got a couple. This came with the Serpentine Belt Kit as well. Let me set this over here. You've got more sockets. These are the dark ones, are the impact rated sockets. You've got this. This is a star socket kit here. I don't even remember why I bought this, but I have it. Crescent wrench, 12-inch. Looks like there's some brand new pack of spark plugs still sitting in there. Extensions, needle nose pliers, another ball joint tool. I bought a whole bunch of Harbor Freight ball joint tools before I realized it was a non-removable ball joint. So that's all I have in this particular container. There's just not much in here. And so far, right, I've just showed you the three components that came for $279. And in my honest opinion, this is not $279 worth of storage. And obviously if I load it down, I can put more stuff in here, but then it'll be incredibly heavy to lift, which kind of defeats the purpose. And these wheels, though they have held up for me now with what I had, with the load that I have in here now, and all the tubs that I'm gonna go over, right? So far we just have these three. Let me get them all stacked up here. So far, though, for someone, like being a DIY hobbyist type of person, these are fairly rugged for me. I just don't see that I have a particular use other than like vanity. To me it looks nice, but as far as the functionality and usability for me, it's not there. Now, having this does not turn me off from the potential of purchasing the drawer setup. Even purchasing a drawer setup, this base I don't think is super useful for me. I think it would be more useful. I think it would be more useful if I had the rolling 4-wheel base, so that I could kind of move it or navigate it around the shop more easily. So here it is. This is the $279 kit. You see what I had inside of it. I don't really think it was $279 worth of stuff. I'm not talking about the value that's in there, but basically I don't think it really is the greatest solution for me, because obviously if I want to get down here, you see I just stacked all those up. I'm going to have to unstack it all just to get to the bottom, which would be a tragedy. Now, and to be quite frank, I think I have to. forgot to put this little container inside of here. I do like the fact that the tops kind of stick up like that. That's, you know, that's helpful. At least if you do, you know, have it, you know, uncovered, you open it up, it actually still, you know, stays open. All right, let's put this one back on the top. And then let's put this one back. All right, so the rest of the kit that I have here, I have this organizer, the larger organizer with a clear top. Pretty much empty. Because I always have to go through, you know, one of the other containers to get to this, that's why it's empty. Because I couldn't think of what I would want to put in there that I don't use that much. It's that small. They kind of make sense to fit together. I mean, you could just throw a bunch of mess in there, but then, you know, the storage solution doesn't make much sense. Next, this is my favorite part of this whole Packout set. This right here. Now, mind you, this portion, just this piece, this thin piece, costs more than the bottom three. The bottom three cost $279. This top piece costs $299. Of course, I didn't buy it on sale like I should have. And let's take a look and see what's inside of it. And what we have is the socket set. It's got the 1/4 inch and the 3/8 inch sockets, both imperial and metric. I like this setup. You can actually take these trays out and take them to your work. You can bring, you know, the whole thing, obviously, if you want to. I like the fact that you can see everything. And, you know, so far with this particular setup, I have not lost a single socket, not a single extension or ratchet or swivel. And this I like. I really, this is my favorite part of this Packout setup for me. It's very convenient. I'm always using these sockets with my 1/4 inch, my 3/8 inch, and my extended reach 3/8 inch ratchet. I don't use my impacts with these sockets because these are impact rated. I use the black ones down below for those applications. Now, so that's that. And as far as hard containers, I only have one more, which is this smaller organizer here. And it actually, because it's on top, it has things in it that I do use. And what I have in here are drill bits. I have like Phillips and flathead and star bit and all the different screwdriver tips are in here. I also have the ratcheting anvils that you can use on your impact. And up in the top right here, up in the top right, I have a Dowel Kit. The actual Dowel machine is not in here. It's like it's not really a machine. It's just a piece of like aluminum or iron or whatever that you use to these drill bits on. There's a couple dowels in here, and this is the most used one besides the ratcheting set. And I would say it's the most used one simply because it is on top and easily accessed or accessible. Now, that doesn't end my Packout. I also have two of these totes. Both of them are completely empty. And I like the way they kind of click into the stack. I mean, this is an excellent solution for taking your tools from point A to point B. And maybe working on a temporary job site, maybe it's great. But, you know, I think what would make it greater would be as if you did have a solution like this, right? If there was some kind of way, if they had a pack out table that could either go with you, not something super heavy duty where it's too heavy to carry, but a pack out table to where when you have a pack out like this, maybe you can roll these up underneath, right? And then have the table on top, but still somehow be able to, you know, get access to these, or maybe to the side to where you can lay your tools out to work with them. Because this by itself, this solution, you just gonna have a whole bunch. I mean, just picture, you know, like moving. When you're moving and you're packing stuff, or when you're unpacking and you got boxes everywhere with different crap in each one of them, or different things in each one of them. That's what this is. A bunch of boxes that you have to just spread out all over the floor and walk around and be like, what was in that box? What's in this box? And you're looking around trying to find your tools. It should have, I don't know, I think a pack out table would be good. A pack out table where you can roll this up next to it. You pull out your pack out table, fold out the legs, and then when you start to pull stuff out, you have a place where your tools sit, you know. Maybe have a spot on the table for one of these tubs or something, or maybe have it to where the table is big enough to where you can have one tub on your left and the other tub on your right, so that you could take off like 2 tubs at a time and be working with them, and have a workspace either in the center or maybe off to the side, however, so that you can get to these and make it integrated into the system. I think that would be a way to kind of add value to this, because as it stands, I mean, yeah, if you're at home, you already have a table, you just, you know, pull this up next to it and pull your stuff all out. I mean, you could do that, but, you know, then you got to put it all back. So if you're a mobile employee and you're taking this, you already know that. But if, you know, someone like myself who's working in the garage at home, I don't want to deal with that. I mean, after I done worked all day on my little project and I'm tired, the last thing I want to do is pack all this stuff back up. Now, if that was part of my job, obviously that's going to be part of the end of my job, where basically I got to pack my tools up to bring them home. But if I'm at home and home is right inside that door, I'm going to try to work longer and get more done, as opposed to just, you know, saying, okay, let me wrap this up an hour early so I can go around and pack up all these pack outs. Yeah, I'm cool on that. So, other pack out bag. I mean, don't mistake me here. I do think it's a great system. It's, you know, I mean, it's okay. It's cool. Oh, you know, another idea I have. Say you made the tabletop just but this would cause you to have to invest more. So maybe they should sell the table with one side. But basically what you could do is put the cleats on the bottom of the table, to where if you had 2 of these of level size, you could take it and slap it and click it on, right? And so it would be affixed to 2, right? And then have it to where you can actually, you know, open the lid and fold the whole table so you could get to whatever's underneath. I don't know. I mean, I'm just, you know, kind of reaching at straws here, but I'm trying to see or think of a way to make this more add more value to it than what it already has. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's kind of like your luggage for going on trips. Who's walking around with a suitcase unless they're going on a trip? You know, your suitcases are packed away somewhere. Your clothes are not in the suitcase. The only time you pull out your suitcase to travel is when you're going to travel somewhere. That's when you pull out your suitcase. That's when you load it up with your valuables and take it from point A to point B. These are suitcases. That's my assessment. These are suitcases. They don't really, I don't necessarily feel as though they add the value beyond a suitcase. And we all know how we use suitcases. Now, the last thing I wanted to show you is you have this Packout backpack. I like it. I've taken it to the salvage yard on a couple of occasions. And, you know, it's good for keeping your tools on you, but excuse me. The issue I have with taking something like this to the salvage yard, you got this big Milwaukee Packout, which looks nice. I don't want to scrape it off or put a, you know, something over it. And so this can attract, you know, unsavory people to want to come over and help you out. And you may end up going home with this bag being a little bit lighter if you put it down on the ground. Now, the other thing is, the thought of this is great. The application wasn't that great for me, because I'd have to take it off each time to get a tool. And say you're taking a part off of a car, it may require several different wrenches, several different ratchets, or box wrenches, whatever. And I mean, what's the point when you take that, you know, you take this out off and you're laying all your tools out on the ground to find what you need, right? Or, you know, if you take the tools out one by one, how many times, you know, how much exercise you getting by taking the backpack off, pulling one tool out, putting the backpack on, taking the backpack off, putting the tool away, grabbing the next tool. Yeah, that's just ridiculous in my opinion. So that is my honest assessment of this Packout system. It looks nice. I really like the socket setup, because it does enable me to be able to keep my sockets in one place. It's a nice, sturdy, rugged case. What I would like to do is take this socket set, get the 4-wheel rolling base, which is like $100. I don't know why, but it's $100, and put like 2 or 3 of the drawer systems on top of that, and put this on top of that, so that when I'm working on my car, I can take my ratchets and put them in the drawers. I can take my impacts and put them in the drawers. I can take the impact sockets that I need and put them in these drawers. And then I can use this little creeper dolly, or little creeper chair, and I can roll over to my car where I'm working, and I can pull that whole little setup with me, right? And open the drawer, grab what I need on the top. You know, you don't have it too high to where you can't look over it, but on the top you would have access to this the ratchet, the sockets, which would be right there. I mean, that would be, I think that would be amazing. That to me is the ideal use. Now that's useful in my opinion, because with it being on the wheels, you could just kind of drag it along with you. Or imagine, you know, a setup like this where you have the 4-wheel base on the bottom, and you have drawers going all the way up. So, and then maybe you have the crate on top, like for say woodworking applications. You could put your drills in the top, right? And then you can have all your screws in the drawers there. And so you could wheel that around, like if you have a stable work, or a stationary workbench that maybe you can walk around. You can just kind of drag this around like your little buddy around the thing. And you know, oftentimes when I'm working on a project, there's, you know, tools all over the project, all over the work surface. So, you know, it gets to be, you know, cluttered, right? And if you had something that was on wheels, that was always readily and accessible, where you could just put your tool in there, and, you know, and it's out of the way, it's off the workspace, but it's right there at arm's reach, and it's movable. You can move it around to the other side of the table. I think that's an excellent setup. But after I spent this much money on the Packout, I'm apprehensive about spending that much more on the Packout just to get that functionality. I'm just, not to say that I wouldn't do it, but it's kind of like there's other tools and other things that I'm interested in. That's a new experience as opposed to going backwards. If I could get this money back and reinvest it into the drawers and that other setup, I would do that. I mean, the only thing here that I would say definitely I would not send back would be the ratchet set, even though I do believe it's super overpriced. But I like this setup. I mean, as a matter of fact, as I'm thinking about it, I might buy another one of these thin ones and get the 2 trays and try to see if I can build out an impact set so that all my impact sockets can be in a set just like this. I don't know if they'll fit, but if they did, that would be really nice. And then, you know, I think that would be nice. But as I said, you just run into problems where you can't, pull the stuff out and use it, And I guess another solution you could do is if you built a cabinet for this, kind of like those Festool cabinets where you can pull out the bottom and, you have your sustainers in it and you can open the sustainer up while it's in there. That would have been a better solution here. But obviously it would have been more expensive. It would have been more heavy if you built this like a box and all of these had drawer slides to pull all the way out and open all the way up so you can access what's in them, close it up and shut it up and still be able to somehow take it apart. That would be cool. But, that requires R&D and interest. So let me show you a different solution that I would not say it's as robust or sturdy, if you will. This is the other solution here. Now, I got it kind of loaded up high. If you take a look up there, you see how tall it is. This my DeWalt track saw up here. This is just an empty crate. This right here is it's an empty box, but I actually, if you look on the side, I put on these, it's janky. It's just some tape, because I was just experimenting to see if it would work. But what I did was I put these vacuum connections on each side so that I can use this as a cyclone, if you will, type apparatus for my T-stack vacuum that's on the bottom. So the hose will come up, plug into one side here, and then then I have another hose that's in a over there on the other side of the garage that would plug into the other side, and I could kind of vacuum the floor with it. I have the extension wand and everything to do that. And then if you look at this setup here, right, this is a little high. So honestly, like, I should probably put this down there on top of the T-stack vacuum so that it's not, wasted space, so I don't have to bend down to get to these drawers. That moves the drawers up a bit. Now, you probably wouldn't want to have this many drawers, because you may want, if you want this container to be eye level. So let me show you what I mean. So I take this off. As you see, that's just an empty container. So this setup, I'm thinking about buying some more of these. It's between this and the Packout. The Packout's a little bit more heavy duty. There's some benefits to that. So you've got these drawers, and if you can see here, I've got, pocket hole screws in here. I have other pocket hole screws, and just regular star screws. I have razor blades in here. This I find useful. Here I've got pencils and marking devices. And here, this is just random catch-all. And then down here, this was a big box of pocket hole screws. I'm almost out. I have some dogs in here for my MFT table, and my Festool domino bits are in there. And coming down here, just some random knobs and some bolts. And then coming down even further, this one's pretty well empty. This is my remote control for my Festool vacuum. And then, as I said, there's a vacuum down there. So I'm going to disconnect and take out all of the drawers. You see how that nicely comes off all together, but I can access every last one of those without pulling that off. And then I could take the flex bolt, put it down there. Now, I just tried, the reason why I have a Craftsman and not a DeWalt is because I was able to pick this up in store at Lowe's and I didn't want to wait for the DeWalt. Plus, I figured if this solution worked out as a cyclone, I could just go buy the DeWalt one so it matches, and then this could just be relegated to another purpose, right? And that's the same reason why I have these VersaStack drawers, because I didn't want to wait. I just wanted to grab some drawers to try this solution out. So now I'll take these drawers and clip them in on each side. And as you can see, I can just roll this with me wherever I need to go. I have my screws right there at, you know, arm's height to be able to get to whatever I need to get to. And then I can change this around even more. Or like if you have multiple ones of these, you know, you could have different ones set up for different purposes. So now, what I can do is put this on top, like that, and then I could take my drills and set them here. Now this is a little higher. Maybe I would go down a little bit lower. Maybe I would take the vacuum out. But I mean, I guess I could do this. This is not that bad. So I can have multiple drills in here ready to go with, you know, say you have a countersink bit in one, you have a, you know, maybe a drill or and then one with your screw head on it, and all of those drills are lined up in here ready to go. And then here you can have all the screws and different devices. You can have specific drill bits, pencil, marking materials, all in here. And you just take this around with you as you go around your workpiece. You know, you're ready to go. I mean, you're able to, you know, do what you need to do, and all of it's conveniently located. And then, like, say for the drills, you know, you come back to your drill station, all of them together. You know, you take them all from your work area and you bring them back and you load them up where they go. So I like this setup, and this setup is cheaper than that setup over there, which is the Packout. Now the Packout gives you the ability to, they do have a vacuum now that you can use, and they have several other accessories that you can use. This one I think is a lot more limited, this T-Stack, and it's, you know, I wouldn't say it's as heavy duty as the Packout, but like say for my purposes, this I think will do fine. Sure, the Packout's going to give me a little bit bigger drawer on, you know, as far as width wise, and it'll be probably a little bit more rugged than this, but I think what I like about this setup too, you know, you look down here, the Milwaukee's Packout vacuum is just like a wet dry vac. This down here is substantially more expensive at about $450, but it is a dust extractor that I can use with my track saw. And you know, the commonality is, you know, the Packout system has their vacuum, which is battery operated, which is great, but this is also battery operated, and which is awesome. So I can drag this all the way around. As a matter of fact, if I wanted to, I could actually put my track saw in the top here and use it, and then put it back in here. Now, it wouldn't fit in there that great if I had the hose on the end. But these are just different things that I think about when I'm working in the shop. As I said, I'm always trying to think about, you know, I know that I'm not going to get better unless I actually cut on wood, unless I actually do projects. But I'm just trying to make that process faster, because I find myself rushing in the shop quite often, and because I'm trying to accomplish something. You know, you don't want to be in the shop all day long and basically all you did was join two boards together. You know, you just don't feel that sense of accomplishment, especially when primarily you only have the weekend to actually do this, and maybe only a few hours at that. So I'm looking at solutions like this to help make that, to speed up that workflow. I come outside in the garage, I grab the drills that I want, I stack them in here, my screws are already loaded up, and other little ancillary bits and bobbles that I need. I roll over to my MFT table and I start getting to work, right? And wherever I go, you know, my tools are right here. You know, I don't have to, you know, I know it's not a super long walk to go over there, but if they're right there, you know, there's no steps involved, right? It's not good for your waistline. I mean, my waistline's out of control, but it is good for, you know, keeping yourself focused and working on whatever it is you're working on right there, as opposed to be like, okay, let me go over here and grab this. Let me go over here and grab this, you know, razor knife. Let me go back over there and grab this other thing. You know, I mean, obviously it's a first world problem. I'm not denying that. But I'm just, as I said, thinking of ways to try to have a better flow. Just a better flow. You know, I'm trying to set up this whole shop so that it flows from my level of working, so that I can actually start, because it is my aspiration to one day make, you know, a piece of furniture or something that people say, wow, that's nice. I'm not there yet. I am a butcher, but I'm hoping to grow and to do better. And what is that? Oh, never mind. So I'm hoping to get better. But therein, that's just my spiel. You know, talking about the Packout system, how I feel. I think this is a far more functional system. As I said, it may not be as robust or as heavy duty as the Packout. It may not be as extensive, but I do believe that them adding drawers to that system, that's pretty cool. That's a good solution. And but these are cheaper. I mean, the Packout drawers, I think for the 3 drawer, it's $160 something. For the 2 drawers, like $100 and maybe $134 at the Home Depot. These right here, like this is one set. Obviously, this is one. You have the 2 drawer. You have this. I think this down here may have been like $25 or something. This actual bin. This set may have been like 30 or 40 bucks. This was like 30 or 40 bucks. The dolly at the bottom was like 40 bucks. This is all on Amazon. Whereas the dolly like this for the Milwaukee is $100. That's on par with the Festool. You know, I was considering getting the rolling base for the Festool. It's $100. You know, and even though I know it's convenient to be able to roll things around, but as I said, even with the Festool, I'm gonna have the same problem that I have with the Packout. I'm gonna have to take everything off the top in order to get to the tool that's in there. Now, if they had a setup that was built where the drawers came out, you can open the lid, which I guess that is, I guess that's a challenge that I have to accept to, excuse me. I guess that's a challenge that I have to accept, where I'll basically build an enclosure, put things like this in there. So, you know, that kind of totally negates the whole clicking together with the Packout. If you basically build a tray with drawer slides to where you can pull it out, you build your own mobile base, put 4 wheels on it so you can roll it around wherever and pull out each individual Packout, and have the drawer extension long enough where you can open it all the way up, get to what's inside. But then, you know, as I said, if you're going to do that, why not just build the whole thing out of wood, you know, or whatever materials you choose, and just make it completely modular. You know how people use Kaizen phone and so on and so forth. You could just make this system work exactly how you want. And I think that is actually a challenge that I'm going to take on for myself. I'm going to actually try to replicate something like this with a drawer system with, you know, 4 wheels on the bottom, so that I can have it's gonna be like a tool caddy or a tool robot, whatever you want to call it, to drag around to help a novice woodworker like myself, who, you know, you have your pencil, you put it down and it's lost, or your tape measure, you put it down and it's lost. Just have it right there next to you. Tape measure slot, pencil slot, you know, screw drawer, all of this stuff all in one. You can drag around. I think it's a great idea for a one-person shop. Anyways, I'm going to wrap up this long-winded video now and going about my way. You guys take care.